Okay, so this segment I'm going to show you how to use your oxygen concentrator with the home fill unit, and we'll start with the concentrator on the bottom. The concentrator is a 1 to 5 liter machine. What you're going to do is simply turn it on. Your on and off is right here. When you turn it on, it's going to alarm at you, and then you're going to come up with a series of lights, and it's when we're good to go here, we're up to a green light. With this, you can put a bubbler in here. Here's your oxygen output. Here's your liter flow gauge or liter meter. If you're at 2 liters, what I like you to do is actually put that black ball and have it sitting on top of the line, because we're concerned about what's being delivered to the patient and not actually what the machine is doing. With the self-filler, the important note is it's a 5 liter machine. The self-filler portion needs a total of 2 liters to fill. So if you are a client that is on a liter flow greater than 3, you're going to have to physically dial that down to the 3 before the top filler actually will function. Otherwise, you can fill and fill and fill, and you'll never get a full tank. So it's just simply with this knob here, just dial it counterclockwise and roll it down to the below 3, and then the top part is going to work. So when you put the oxygen tubing on, then, and the long tubing, I have a 7-foot hose today, but you're actually going to have probably a 50 or a 25 foot, and I couldn't do that again if I wanted to. But your tubing, when it comes, it's going to come in a big coil, and you just try to undo most of that coil. We don't want it to be caught in a knot, and it's simply just pushing it onto the front, and the long hose with the cannula then, and this goes in your nose and around your ears. If you're at 3 liters and above, you may want to put a bubbler on here. And what I mean by that is, in the hospital, when you were discharged from the hospital and having oxygen on, there was a water bottle on the wall. We may have to put one on this particular unit. A lot of people actually get by without the bubbler. It doesn't matter what liter flow. There's a product that we hand out. It's called Roezit, and basically you twist it open, put a little dab on your nose or on your finger, and then rub it into your nose, in your nares, and then you may be able to get by without using the bubbler. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm actually going to show you how to place the bubbler. And so what you want to do is get the cleanest water possible. I would recommend distilled, and this just acts, or it's just like a jar lid, and basically you turn this, and it's about a turn and a half, and it separates. Put the water, and I don't know how well you're going to actually see this line, but there's actually a full line and an empty line, and you want to keep the water between there. It should last a good 3 days on a full water bottle, but when we put this on, it actually is going to bubble just like it did at the hospital, and so you're just going to have to keep an eye on it and add water when needed. Once a week, though, you need to open this up and wash it just like you're washing dishes. Put it in the sink, warm soapy water. This part, the only word of caution is you don't want this filter here to get soap in it, because otherwise it'll bubble up and you'll smell soap. So you simply just pull this straw out, and not washing the straw, and then wash the 2 parts like you're washing dishes. Let it air dry, and then put it back together. The straw actually comes back in, and you just kind of push it back in there, and you screw that tight. The other thing with this is you want to make sure that actually gets screwed on straight, because if it doesn't, oxygen is going to leak out of here, and in a day or so you're going to notice that you're missing that oxygen, because these things like to get cross-threaded. And if you don't do it kind of eye level, you can see how easily that gets cross-threaded, and then the oxygen blows out there. And so what you want to do is just make sure that you're doing it level, and this little ridge line matches up with the blue little ridge line, and so that's how that goes. But just make sure, fill it up with water, make sure that it's hand tightened, and then it actually has a little spot. There's a little stretchy string here that you pull that out and it sets in here. Then you're going to take the oxygen tubing off of the back and place it up to here. Now the only thing that we're missing is the adapter that goes in the back and then gets screwed into the top of the machine. In the back of the machine then, there's actually a dust cover, and the butter knife is your friend, and what you want to do is get underneath here and just kind of pry this open. And I'm kind of showing you how difficult that it gets to be by just trying to get into here. And it's not easy, but when you open this up, there's a little straw and it's down into the side here. And I'll put it back in there. And it's a little black adapter, and what you want to do is just pull it out of there, and it looks like this. Place this back in the filter hole here, but there's two little tabs here, and they go down in the end, and it just kind of sits in here, and then snap it back together. So what you're doing is this little nut or threaded plastic gets threaded onto the top, and that's just hand tightened. Then it just loops around, and the big deal with this is you got to make sure it loops and you're not going straight to it, because otherwise it's going to kink and then you're not going to get oxygen. So you have to have it up and looping, and so that's how the bubbler sits. Now this is going to bubble, and like I said, it's going to last 2 to 3 days on there, and you're going to notice that your nose just doesn't get as dry.